DJ Lil create vibes now.
Welcome to another episode of the Get Love Like Mine podcast. We are your humble hosts. I'm Keisha Amos. This is my beautiful husband, Sam Amos. This is season 2, episode 12. We hope that you've been enjoying the content we've been putting out so far. I think last week's episode was really good. Just an opportunity for us to answer questions for everybody. Giving fresh perspectives. Anyway, this week, I kind of had the idea for this topic because my husband is constantly making reference to my rotten friends. He says that all the time. So I kind of want to devote this episode to friendship, talk about friendship. There's a scripture that I feel like goes along with it. It's Proverbs 27:17. It says, "As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend." So,
just as a footnote, Proverbs is a really good book.
Oh yeah.
So if you have young men that
women too,
that you're trying to raise and teach right do the right thing, Proverbs has a lot of good morals and values to read.
I agree. But what I was gonna say about friendship. Your friends, if the Bible is telling you, as iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend, that means your friends are supposed to make you better. A person you consider a friend should make your life better. I see a lot of young people who their friend groups are based on who they can be ratchet with. Yeah, I went to my coworker's birthday party a couple of weekends ago, and it was like girls gone wild in there. Like all the girls were dancing on each other. Everybody was celebrating that it was their kid-free weekend, so the kids were gone with the dads, and drinking, just dancing. They were having a great time, but my question is are your friends making you better? Or do you just kind of celebrate your bad habits with your friends? So I was watching, and I can't think of the name of the show. It's on Fox Soul. The Cocktails with the Queens. So Selena Johnson had made a analogy about friendship. She said it's a difference between friendship and codependency. And when my husband is constantly talking about my rotten friends, I don't think my friends were rotten, but I think it was more of a codependent type friendship rather than a make you better type friendship. My decision to make my life better didn't come until really I started spending time alone or with God. My friends they weren't that motivator to say, go back to school, girl, go do this, go do that. That wasn't the nature of our friendship. The nature of our friendship was more so, let's go, where we going out to this weekend, what we drinking, it was a lot of bad habits, gossiping, sitting up talking about everybody's business, and our own too. I'm not going to even say but our own, and our own too. That was more the nature of the friendship. Like, we sat up and talked on the phone all the time as if we were codependent. But I feel like now that I'm older, I feel like real friendship, you could go months without talking to the person and just pick up right where you left off. It's not any ill will. It's not any hard feelings. Like, you haven't called me. Everybody understands that everybody got something going on in their lives. And you just don't take it personal that the person might not have called you. But when you do talk, you just catch right up. I know this is more, I'm speaking from a woman's perspective. What about you? What you think about that?
I spoke about your friends, but this was like some of your yesteryear friends. These aren't like your friends now. So I don't. So if there are any friends that you hang around now and they watch this episode, I don't want them to say, "Hey man, what are you talking about? You must be talking about me."
No. I'm not gonna say anybody's name, old or new. My old friends are still my friends, but the dynamic of our friendship has changed due to certain circumstances.
You know, we all grow out of hanging
out. I don't hang out, every weekend and drink and stuff like I used to, and so the dynamic of the friendship changed. The dynamic of the friendship really changed when my dad passed away, but it's been over the years, so I don't have any hard feelings towards them, and I don't want it to come off that way by some of the stuff you say. I don't hate anybody. I don't dislike anybody, but my life has changed, and so I surround myself with people who sharpen me. Like I said, as iron sharpen iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. I either hang around someone who I can impart something to, or they're imparting something in me that's in alignment with my current goals. So I also want to bring this up only because I talk about this all the time. When I was in college, I took a sociology course, and I don't remember if it was Freud or who it was, but some psychologists, sociologists discuss the triad. The triad means like if you have three people, anytime there are three people in a group, it's always going to be two that are more connected to each other than the other one. So my first friend group, that's how it was. My two friends, they were cousins, so they were more connected to each other than to me. So it always made me feel like the outsider, the point over here by itself, Even though in a triangle, all the lines connect. It could really be any two at any given time that are on one line while the other one is, either at the top or off to the side, depending on how you're looking at the triangle. But in a triad group, there is always two that are more connected than the other one. Even now, where I say, I hang around people who are more, we have the same goals and we're sharpening each other. I have a set of lawyer friends who, it's clear to me the two of them are much closer than me. So I just want to put that out there because I know, sometimes people feel like, oh, it's the three of us. No, it's always two of them. They might be in the group chat that you're not in because they talking about you behind your back. But that's how it goes. But I feel like that's more, my old friendships were more of a codependency type deal. They kind of influenced my bad behavior, or maybe I influenced their bad behavior, not sure how it went. But now that I'm on a different path and a different trajectory, the friends that I have around me now, they sharpen me and I sharpen them. But I think even back in that friendship, I tried sharpening them. But it, I don't know how it came off. Maybe it came off as me being pushy or bossy or whatever, but it seemed like to me that I always wanted more for them than they wanted for themselves. You on the outside looking in, I know you just saw it as a mess.
Well, I've heard plenty of horror stories from you that you told the stories, but in your telling, you didn't think they were horror stories until I pointed out that, hey, that's a horror story. Having those friends, or as you become an adult and you raise kids and they have these same type of associates, you don't classify them as friends. Like I can recall my when I came through high school, I was popular. So there was always like groups of people around me coming to my house, hanging out in the backyard, shooting basketball, whatever. But my mom could come home from work and she could point out exactly, oh, that ain't your friend, that ain't your friend, and it never made sense to me. Like we all having fun, doing whatever. How in the world could she just point people out of a crowd and say, he ain't your friend? Well, as I got older and along the path of growing up, it always stayed in the back of my mind. Like, I wonder how my mom knew. Everything she said to me, even though she's passed away now, I wish I could talk to her. Everything she ever said to me was right. She never told me one thing that was wrong, and including who my friends were and who my friends weren't. But as I got older, I saw for myself that there's really not that many different types of people. There's really, I'm not going to say there's only two types, but there's two types that stand out to me. There's the ones that come with their hands stuck out. Everybody wants something. They come to see what they can get. And there's the ones that don't. So as you get to be older, you see that your real friends are those ones that they're with you, they support you, they understand you, but they're not coming around you for what you can do for them. They're just there. Like, yeah, you may have knowledge that they can learn from, but they trust in you, they trust in your word, your judgment, your guidance and counsel. They support what you do, raising your kids, the way your work ethic, all that stuff. Not, hey man, can you drop me off at the now there's nothing wrong with dropping people off at the store, but if that's the only time you come around, and then when I need something, oh man, I just left, I would have dropped you off if you needed me to, but let me hit you back because I'm busy right now. But see, those are the kinds of people that always got their hands stuck out. So I realized that my mom had seen those kinds of people throughout her life, and she was able to see those characteristics in the people that were around me. Like, I see them around my kids. So I can remember one kid in specific that I told my sons, hey, don't bring that kid around here no more. He had it in his eyes he wasn't no good. And it's kind of a crazy story when we're not here for that.
But it was crazy that you looked at him, the guy seemed respectable, like he came in, how you doing, sir? But my husband saw something in him that wasn't right. And if I'm not mistaken, later on your son came back and told you were right?
Yeah, and it was the strangest thing. I don't know about, I mean, I understand, I know the spirit world is a real thing, you know, and I don't know what it was inside this kid, but boy, it popped up like it wasn't no tomorrow. I couldn't deny it. I told that kid, that we were outside, I told him, man, stand right, stay here, don't move a muscle. I'm going to get my wife, she need to see this. You need to see what I see. Do you see this kid looking like, it was crazy. But like he stood there and he looked me up and down like, one day I'm gonna I'll be back for you. Like, man, you know what, and this kid was 17 or 18 years old. But anyway, it was amazing to me that my mom could spot I guess poor characteristics in people, and then when I got to be older, it made a whole lot of sense because I see it now. So I say all that to say, we're on the subject of friends. As you get older, you'll realize that your circle of friends, I don't care how many people you know. I know people, man, I lived in New York, I worked at, I can't tell you how many jobs I've had. The people still recognize me. Like, I know a lot of people, but a lot of people are not my friend. I have a very, very, very small group of people that I can point to and say, that's my friend. And when you get older, you'll realize that, but it's okay. Yeah, you might know a lot of people, but you don't have a lot of friends in life. You really don't.
Yeah. That makes me think, two things made me think of what you just said. One of my friends, we've been friends since I was in 4th grade. When we were younger, we did sharpen each other. She sharpened me. I'll say that, because we were very competitive when it came to making good grades and positive stuff. But as we got older, it became clear to me we're both smart. Like, we don't have to compete about grades. But she was competing with me on a level that I didn't know she was competing with me. And people on the outside would tell me, you know, she's competing with you, she's trying to be better than you, or whatever. But I didn't see it and didn't want to see it. I was like, this is my friend. I'm not doing that to her, so I don't think she's doing that to me. But the older I got, as you said, the more it became clear to me that we were not sharpening each other anymore. I wasn't sharpening her, and she wasn't sharpening me. It almost became fake in my eyes, because I was considering her my friend, so I would be vulnerable with her about things that were happening in my life. Like, you're my friend, I'm gonna tell you the truth. But I started to realize that she wasn't being honest with me about the bad things that were happening in her life. So it made me feel like I'm not really your friend if you can't, like, if I'm coming to you and say, oh, he did this to me, or oh, I did this, my car got repossessed, my husband cheated on me, blah blah blah. If I could tell you all this about me, but you're telling me fabricated stories about what's going on in your life, to where you try to make it seem like your life is perfect, we must not really be the type of friends that I'm thinking that we are. You're not sharpening me, and I'm not sharpening you. It was more so, to me, her trying to be better than me. And you could do that all on your own, because I'm not trying to be better than you. I'm only trying to be better than me. The second thing that made me think about what you just said, my other friend told me one time that I didn't have no friends. She said, I don't remember the context of it, but I remember her telling me, you don't even have no friends. And I'm thinking to myself, every time something go wrong in your life, I'm the one you call. I'm the one that you call when you need whatever it is. Because even though you know a lot of people, you don't have no friends. Not none that sharpen you, not none that's there for you the way I was. So the fact that she kind of threw that out there always stuck in the back of my mind, like, this what she really think of me, because it just came out of nowhere. She had never spoken to me that way before, had never said anything like that to me. So the fact that it just came rolling off her tongue let me know, like I said, these were conversations they were having. I saw this meme just this week. I wish I would have saved it, but it basically said, God is moving you by yourself, because he heard the conversations about you behind your back that you didn't hear. That's the reason he's not letting those friends come on the journey that you coming on. He know how they really feel about you. So, it just is what it is. My mom used to look at people and say that too, that's not your friend, or my mom wasn't trusting of anybody. Like I've said this before, the only place my mom would let me spend the night was at my uncle's house with my cousin Angie. That's the only place my mom would let me spend the night. Like, she didn't let me go to people's houses. She wasn't trusting of anybody. She didn't really think anybody was my friend, and she probably was right. But I think the older we get, the more we see the value in what a friendship should be. Like you said about, either friends have their hand out or they don't. Some friends are friends who bring something to the table that you need. Like, you might be this way, and then you have friends who are this way, and y'all balance each other. But if you're a giver and your friends are takers, you're going to find yourself being resentful towards those friends, or feeling like these not really my friends because they never bring me anything. You know, they're saying you need to check on your strong friend. Sometimes it gets tiring being the strong friend. You need some other friends who are strong. Some friends that sharpen you. You know, you really need friends that make you better. My husband, the older he gets, he's like more selective about the people that he hangs around. But one of the characteristics I always see that you look for in a friend is their relationship with God. Like, you know, just talk about that a little bit, because I love that.
Well, let me say this, because somebody needs to hear this, and it's like an atom bomb. So I'm gonna try to drop it soft. It's gonna blow up anyway. Everybody that you've known since you were little are not your friend, huh? So you may get I guess the word is confused, or maybe you're just over trusting because I've known this person for so long. But I've seen many friendships that have lasted for years, 20 years. We've known each other, we've been around each other, but we were never really friends. And it takes one person coming in your life for you to realize, you know, I've been around you for 20 years, and this person done did more in my life in 6 weeks than you've done in my life for 20 years. You were just there, soaking up whatever you could get from me. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing. Don't think just because someone's been around you for 30 years, or I know this, my friend, well, is it? So, back to your point, don't be afraid to lose friends or associates or people that are around you for a long period of time, because God always moves bad things and He'll replace it with something. So don't ever think, okay, well, if I don't have this person in my life, who am I going to talk to? Because God will always supply you with what you need. I have a friend just recently in the last 2 years that retired, and boy, to see the relationship we ended up with versus where we started. I mean, we started where, okay, we met at work, but we would walk past each other and wouldn't even speak because we didn't know each other. And then you fast forward some years, and the more we hung around each other, the more we realized we had in common. And then he starts telling me how his dad was a pastor and he had his own church. And before you know it, every time we saw each other, we were either talking about scripture, or it had something that God was somewhere in that relationship. And he got to be one of my closest friends, and then he retired. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, I'm gonna be lost without him, because we were inseparable. We were like handcuffed together when we were both at work, because we just enjoyed the conversation, whatever it was gonna be about. And we had rotten supervisors. We found a way to incorporate that back to God. Like, you know, we just need to pray for this person, or, you know, we would ask, like, how could this person act like this and be this rude? I haven't even done anything to you. He said, well, you got to realize that person ain't never spent not one day with God, because if they did, they'd have spent 2 with him. And 2 would have turned into 3. So, but anyway, to say all that, I didn't want to see him go, and he kind of retired spur of the moment because he had an accident. But then I would think to myself, man, I am gonna really miss this guy at work. Now that doesn't mean he moved away to Alaska or something. Right. He's still where I can contact him. But as soon as he moved out of the way, another one stepped up that had been there the whole time, and I would have never thought. Some of the friends I have now, I would have never thought were gonna be my friends. I used to dodge them. I have one friend that, boy, if I tell you he can talk, his mouth has I don't know how many AA batteries in it. And don't get him upset because you just kicked it up a notch. Boy, he can go at it. And he'll tell you, hey man, I know I talk a lot, but he has a good heart. He's just a good guy. And he was raised right. So I can't help but find myself around him all the time. This is who he is. Yeah. Sometimes he gets upset and he'll call me and I have to be a good friend and be the listener. But aside from that, he's just a good guy. He brings good vibes. He brings positive energy. He believes in God. He believes, hey man, look, I know my grandmother prayed for me. He'll say it in a minute. And he talk about his ex-wife, like she was always out to do things to bring me down, but every time she thought she was doing something to me, God found a way to pull me out of it. It was just some amazing stories, but I say all that to say, don't ever think, just because you're around somebody for years and years, that you're either stuck in that or because you walked away from old friendship and it just was really like, these are just people I've known for a long time. And I don't have any trouble with you, no animosity, I'm not, no hard feelings or nothing, but I don't have to be around you for my life to go on. So the fact that I'm not, don't take it personal, but if it ain't there anymore, it's not there anymore. So like you say, God will move people that didn't have no business on that journey with you anyway. So I see it all the time.
Yeah. I think it's okay. People think, I'm not being a true friend if I walk away from this. But it's okay to break up with a friend, just like it's okay to break up with a toxic relationship. Like, I've heard the saying, we've been together so long, I just hate to start over. You hear that in relationships. But that's no reason to stay in a relationship just because all you have is all these years. If it's not productive, if it's not fruitful, it's okay to walk away from that. And that should be, we should normalize being able to walk away from friends in that same way. It don't have to be we fell out, we had a fight and now we don't speak no more. It don't have to be that. It can just be, we don't have as much in common as I thought we did. You make me feel a certain type of way. I make you feel a certain type of way. We don't have to be around each other. We don't have to talk to each other. I don't have no hard feelings towards you. I still love you. I still care about your mama and them, your kids, everybody, your sister and them. I still care about all of y'all. But I'm not going to fill my day up trying to be friends with somebody who we just not sharpening each other anymore. If you're not trying to make me better, and the things I say, if I'm trying to make you better, but you take it a different way than from what I intended, I'm not just gonna sit around trying to make you see things my way. It's clear we don't see things the same way. We can still be friends, but from a distance. You don't have to stay in a toxic friendship.
Let me say this because I want to get it out before you go too far. Something I do, and I've kind of learned from watching you. You do this all the time, even especially with your family members that are friends too, right? When people go through things in life, a lot of times they know just who to call that's going to say what they want to hear back. You may have been all the way wrong. I may have been wrong in what I did. And I call this person and I only tell the story one-sided where you're going to sure enough agree with me. See, then I'm going to hear what I want to hear. Then this person's going to say, yeah, you sure was right. You was right in what you did.
You validated what they overreacted. Right. You was right to bust them windows out of the car.
Not to mention, number one, there's two sides to every story. And number two, the person telling the story is usually the hero. So anyway, especially with your brother, he's had relationships, and they may get turbulent or whatever, and he'll call and say, "Hey, what? My wife doesn't initially jump off the boat and agree with that brother. Like, okay, yeah, she might have did what she did, but what did you do to get her to act like this?" See that? I feel like you're leaving something out. See, a good friend is not gonna tell you what you want to hear. Mm-hmm. They're gonna tell you the truth. Now, you may not like what they said, and you probably need to call somebody else. I probably was the wrong person to call. See, and that's the way I do my friends. I had a friend recently who had a problem with a supervisor from a few years back. And he just see the supervisor walking across the floor going in the building, and something rose up in him. Man, I can't stand him. He. And so he told a story. And, you had every right to be upset with the guy if he accused you of something you didn't do. Mm-hmm. But at this stage, later on in life, all it takes is to see him walking by and you still got negativity towards the guy. So I called him up. I say, "Man, I need you to do me a favor. You need to ask God to forgive you and let that man loose, because you still holding on to something from years ago. You need to let that go." Mm-hmm. Now, a real friend is not going to just sit there and high five you. "I don't like him either." No, I see where you're wrong, and forgive me for saying something, but I'm gonna say something. Mm-hmm. And you do it all the time. People come to you. I'm not gonna just agree with you off the bat just because number one, you called me and asked me about it.
I'm not gonna tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be impartial. I'm gonna look at it from both sides. I'm gonna read between the lines of the story that you're telling me, because I know you leaving something out. I know this girl didn't just start acting like this because she crazy. Like, what you did, that's the part you're leaving out. But you calling me because you think I'm gonna just, be like, yeah, you was right, blah, blah, blah. And I might one day.
If you were right.
If you was right. But if you was wrong, I'm gonna tell you you're wrong. And like, I don't want a yes man type friend. I don't want no friends around me that's just gonna validate my bad behavior or validate me. I had a client the other day who, this is a pet peeve of mine, when people hire me or my firm as their lawyer and then they want to tell me how to do my job. Mm. If you was, you more than willing, more than capable of representing yourself in court, you shouldn't have hired me if you knew what to do already. You hired me for a reason. So my coworker, she was like, I said, "Well, when he called, you let me talk to him." She was like, no, I'm gonna talk to him because you upset. See, she knew I was going to get on that phone and be in the wrong frame of mind. She didn't validate it and be like, "Yeah, cuss him out, girl. Tell him." She sharpened me. It was like, "No, you got to calm down before you speak to him. Let me talk to him." And that's what we did. So that's why I say I got people around me who, they're not yes men. They're not just there to go along with whatever I say. If I'm wrong, they'll tell me I'm wrong. And I'm open to that. I'm open to different perspectives. I don't always think I'm right, even though people think I do. I don't. I self-reflect all the time. I can always look back and say I was wrong in that. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have did that. But
there's nothing wrong with fixing yourself.
Oh, for sure.
It's okay to say, you know what? Maybe there are some things about me I can change. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, we're about to wrap this up, but let me just highlight one more type of friendship. Beware of those friends that only have time to listen to your stories when it's a bad story.
Oh yeah.
You probably can look right now. It may even be family members that the only time they have time to really listen is when the hot water heater burst and messed up all the sheetrock in your house. But now when you got promoted to assistant manager and started making more money than what you was making at first, because sometimes friends think you was already making too much, But when you start making more money than what you was making, there are going to be people that don't want to hear that story.
Mm-mm.
They would much rather hear about the hot water heater that burst and messed up all your carpet, and now you don't know what you're going to do. Or when you got eviction notice, even though it was on accident. Now, they accidentally put eviction notice on your house, but they was listening for the story, and then when you got to the accident part, oh man, Lord, praise God. Well, you sure was listening close when you thought something bad was happening to me. But they're going to be, you probably can think of people as you listen to me tell this, that the only time they are super, super interested is when y'all had an argument and a fight and you locked him out and he wrecked the car and y'all got drunk. But when we got a closing date, we bought a new house.
They don't want to hear that.
No one wants to hear the good thing. You know, there's a lot of people, and I'm not going to say no one. But the ones that can celebrate with you,
oh man,
those are your friends. It may not be a bunch of them now. It may be one or two or three. But the ones that can actually cheerlead with you, and everybody say that's a blessing. They don't mean that's a blessing. They just say this sounds like something good to say.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that are sincere, that can say, man, that's truly a blessing. I'm happy for y'all. Look for those kind of friends, please. Because those other kind, they come a dime a dozen. They're around you all day, every day. All they want to hear is how your car wouldn't start when you was late this morning. And then, of course,
he cheated on you. He doing this. He doing that. They want to hear all the bad. I have actually felt like that in a friendship before. That when I call with something good, the person be like, "Oh, girl, I gotta go. I'll call you back." They get off the phone. But when you call with, "Girl, I called to tell you I just found out he did this." What? They'll stay on the phone with you for hours.
Or be like, hold on, because I have my sister on the other line.
Yeah, let me get off. Let me call her on three-way, so I ain't gotta waste time trying to repeat this story. I just let you tell her too.
Hey, she wasn't talking about that though.
Yeah. We'll stay on the phone with you for hours to hear the drama, to hear the chaos. But when it's peace and calming, or they feel, it could be jealousy, it could be they just tired of hearing about the good stuff that happened to you. They only want to hear about something bad. But I have even, and you've told me this, I have even gotten to a point where I didn't want to tell my friends good things that happened to me, because I didn't want it to feel like I was bragging. And my husband was like, "You don't see that that's not your friend? If you can't even tell them without feeling like you bragging, if that's how they make you feel by telling them a good story, that's not your friend." Because it's not bragging when you're not taking credit for it yourself and you giving God all the praise, all the glory. Look what God did for me. If they jealous of what God did for you, something wrong with them. One of my pastor one time said something about friendship, and we could close with this because I know we've talked this to death. He said, when you see God blessing your neighbor, you know God is in your neighborhood. You next. If he dropping them off at this mailbox, this mailbox, this mailbox, as long as you lined up, you next. So you ought to be happy to see God blessing your neighbor. Because it's going to, you right there. He right there. So you have anything you want to add to this?
No, I mean, I'm sure I could keep talking. I just enjoy myself. But just be aware of everyone around you may not be a friend.
Yeah.
Even if it's family, it happens.
True.
But it's all good. It's still good.
But your friends should sharpen you. Your friends should make you better. Not validate your bad behavior. Anyway, if you're not following us already, be sure to do so on Facebook and Instagram at Get a Love Like Mine podcast. We're not going to do an Ask the Amoses this week. However, if you would like us to answer your question on the show, or give you a little advice, you could send us an email to getalovelikemindepodcast@gmail.com. Put in the subject line Ask the Amoses, and we will be sure to read and answer your question anonymously on the show. Thank you guys for listening. Happy Sunday.